At Les Schwab, along with great prices, our tires come with the kind of protection most other places just don't give you, which includes free flat repairs, equal value replacements, pre-trip safety checks, and more for the entire life of the tire. With the other guys, well, you just never know. So why is free protection on your tires good to have?
Lifetime protection. That's our best tire value promise. Les Schwab, doing the right thing since 1952.
With cattle in Grant County and microbrews across the state, a new federal proposal is causing concern. A proposed federal rule would make it harder for breweries to sell leftover grains as animal feed instead of throwing them away. Don Ford shows us that involves cows and beer.
Russian River Brewing Company in Santa Rosa is known worldwide for its beer. Beer that is brewed right here behind the bar. Grain is one of the main ingredients.
Brew batches every, couple times a week, so we're going to have a lot of grain left over that's usable.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, of course, or in this case, cattle feed. The brewery needs to get rid of it, and cows love to eat it. It's a match made in heaven.
It's a win-win situation for everybody.
Or at least it was. Rancher Rick Olaf says proposed FDA regulations may outlaw the practice unless expensive federal oversight is enacted to monitor the handling of the grain.
Once they get the foot in the door and they start regulating something, then there's a whole mess of paperwork that follows behind it.
It's one more step in the process that we don't really have room for.
Cattlemen and brewers both fear the additional cost and workload of tracking the spent grain could be too much and just end up sending it to the landfill. Nobody thinks that's a good idea. Rick says this stuff is so nutritious and sweet, he calls it cow candy.
Wow.
Well, what does it taste like?
Good.
Oh, brother. The FDA is still reviewing the details of the proposed regulation, and revised language could be published by this summer.
Sky gazers in North and South America were treated to a full lunar eclipse, at least those fortunate enough to have clear skies. The moon was eclipsed by the Earth's shadow early Tuesday, beginning around 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time for 5.5 hours. The total phase of the eclipse lasted just 78 minutes. For some, the moon appeared red-orange because of all the sunsets and sunrises shimmering from Earth, thus the name Blood Moon. It's the first of 4 eclipses this year and the first of 4 total lunar eclipses this year and next. In the meantime, get ready for a solar eclipse in 2 weeks. NASA got good news Tuesday. Its moon-orbiting spacecraft, LA-D, survived the eclipse. Scientists had feared LA-D might freeze up in the cold darkness. The Seattle Times reports that Washington State Commissioner of Public Lands Peter Goldmark has accepted $100,000 in campaign contributions from timber and wood product companies, despite a previous campaign pledge that he would not accept cash from industries that he would regulate. When running to become the state's top logging regulator in 2008, Goldmark said it was reprehensible for his opponent, Doug Sutherland, to accept money from timber harvesters. The Democrat Goldmark defeated Sutherland, the Republican incumbent. Goldmark was reelected in 2012. Goldmark says he didn't sustain his campaign pledge because he is not influenced by money from the timber industry. But some environmentalists who support his campaign now say Goldmark has grown too close to timber companies. Tempers have cooled over a cattle dispute that threatened to turn violent in Nevada. The Bureau of Land Management started rounding up cattle owned by a family that has been ranching since the 1800s. The BLM said Cliven Bundy's cattle were grazing illegally on federal land, and he owed the government about $1 million in back fees. Armed militia groups sided with Bundy. Rather than risk violence, the BLM called off the roundup on Saturday and returned 300 head of cattle. But Democrat and Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, who represents Nevada, said this isn't the end of the issue.
Well, it's not over. We can't have an American people that violate the law and just walk away from it. So it's not over.
And that's going to do it for us here at iFIBER 1 News. We want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.